All right, you guys. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's the reason you're all here. Put your hands together for Tommy Smart!
Oh, wow. Like 3 people. That's great. No, it's good. Katie asked me, like, what do I want my credits to be? I just say, like, hey, I'm recording a special at the comedy shop at, what was it, the 26th? Hell yeah. I was given a pen before I got up here. That was fun. So I can do, like, a little prop comedy now. All right. Cool. Let's see. What do I want to do? Wouldn't you love it? I just came up here. I just riffed for like 30 minutes. I've been doing stand-up comedy since August of 2022, full time. Yeah. Yeah. Or is the world called unemployed? So, yeah, being unemployed changes you, you know, after you've been unemployed for a while. The other day I got an email from a company I applied to a job for, and they said to me, Tommy, are you available on Thursday at 4 p.m. to meet with the hiring manager? And I emailed back, yeah, I should be awake by then. That's very fun. Yeah. So actually, while I was unemployed, I actually like drove for Lyft to try to make ends meet. But then I was only just breaking even until I found this hack. What I did, I was just driving around Penn Station picking up tourists all day. And I just, talk to them, find out where they're headed. I'd be like, so where are you headed? They'd be like, Cat's Deli. I'd be like, no, you're not. I'd be like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. I said, no, you don't want to go to Cat's Deli. Nah, the meat's too dry. Edit the trip. I'll take you to Gershwin's Deli. It's way better. And I'd be like, where's that? Albany. Yeah. So I was, at one point I did do a stint at this restaurant for a while. And I got fired, actually, because the chef hated me. And I said to the manager, I said, yo, I think chef hates me. And she goes like, why would you say that, Tommy? Because he said, I fucking hate you, Tommy. It's kind of very telling there. I'm actually glad I don't work there anymore. I basically just on my age, honestly. Because I'm like 32 years old, right? So everyone I worked with was like 15. Seriously, I was old enough to be their dad. Yeah, no, don't laugh. I could have done that. I had a lot of game back in middle school, That was fun, Like, you always know how you see a kid in life or in movies, and they're always like, has a crush on an adult, and they just walk up to the adult like, I like you like my mom likes my dad, With me, I just go to like one of my sister's hot friends and be like, yo, I like you like my dad likes the waitress at Applebee's. That was pretty easy there. Yeah, all right, so yeah, I was unemployed for a while. We kind of addressed that. I was unemployed for a long time, like a long, long time, like, scary unemployment, So I ended up, and it didn't get any better, You always say just keep plugging along. So I ended up seeing this licensed therapist. She was like a young woman. She was like in her late 20s, to talk about my unemployment anxiety. And so if you follow that logic, my solution to my financial insecurity was to pay a therapist a lot of money for her to tell me every week, I can't get you a job, right? That's, yeah. And she was pretty cute, but she was pretty weird, At one time, I mentioned the Ludacris song, What's Your Fantasy? As that comes up in therapy, And her response was, that song's hot. Yeah, I didn't buy that for a second. And I spent many sessions talking about this because I couldn't believe that she liked 90s rap. But apparently she was a huge fan. I just didn't buy it, And there's something about, all the cucumber water she was drinking, the Brene Brown quotes didn't really scream, get back, motherfucker, you don't know me like that. Not really picturing her like walking her dog, listening to rap, rapping along to Ludacris lyrics, saying the N-word and drinking kombucha. I really got hung up on this. I wasted a lot of money talking about it. But yeah, therapy is kind of a scam. The biggest breakthrough I had was that's funny because I think Crenshaw's like a psychiatrist of some kind. Yeah. But I think, the biggest breakthrough I had was that I liked the Seinfeld show way too much. That was it. That's what I got. Yeah. She says to me one time, Tommy, do you think it's healthy that you base your entire life off a 90s sitcom? I said, I don't know. You think it's healthy that all your advice starts with, hey, you know the episode of Sex and the City? I mean, what's the deal with that, right? That's funny. I like how I laugh at my own jokes. That's funny. And it's now at one point, I'll say this. At one point, I thought, therapy wasn't really going anywhere. At one point, so I said, like, do you have like a structured plan you're working off of? And she just goes like, nah, I'm just winging it. Improv, wink, wink. It took me like 9 months to realize that that's like her way of being cute while she says, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah. At one point, she says, I really didn't care much about the therapy. After like 9 months, I just kept going to see her, which was kind of sad. And then I found out there are things in therapy you can't really say. They're called boundaries. Like she says to me one time, Tommy, you gotta be more emotionally open. I said, all right, sure. Let me try. I love you. Yeah. It was kind of getting all. Jesus. All right. At one point, I knew that whole relationship got a little bit too personal, not very therapeutic, because I was doing stand-up until like 2 a.m., walked home and emailed her, you up? Yeah. That worked. It's kind of funny. Yeah. You've been single a long time and you start thinking your therapist is hot. Not because she's like a smoke show or anything, because she didn't ghost you after the first session. That kind of happens there. And it's weird, I never thought in my life I'd say I love you to somebody, and her response is like, how does it feel to say that? Ooh, whoa, I get an ooze now. I like that. But no, at one point I was like, all right, this is enough. So I decided to actually like terminate. And at one point, I said, yeah, I think I want to end therapy. And she looks at me skeptically, going, you think about ending therapy to avoid me breaking up with you? And I was like, no. And then she starts crying. Yeah, like someone's laughs, like, yeah, crying, that's great. And apparently she just broke up with her boyfriend, and I figured, because she just got bangs, And, our like sessions were the first time she had like intimacy with a dude in a while. I said, all right, I'm not gonna not take advantage of this. So why don't you come out to my place after your session today, and like we can like talk about it. She says, yeah, definitely. Text me your address, and I do. I get back, ew, Jersey? Yeah. It's kind of wild knowing that like your therapist was attracted to you. I kind of feel like I beat a game, Like everyone talks about wanting to sleep with their shrink, but I'm the one that would say like, well, why not? And then, so that was cool. But no, that means that like for like 15 months that I saw her, I walk in there. I would talk about everything, stand up, movies, the politics of fried chicken. She would just go like, God damn, that's deep. That's what she was thinking. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But while this was happening, it was kind of awkward because people would tell me that I was crazy. That thinking that your therapist likes you is like saying like the stripper likes you. No, you're just paying to talk to her. Yeah, that's a line. We should name that the special. Emotional stripper is what a therapist is. Yeah, no, good idea, right, Tommy? Good job. Writing on stage. But yeah, no, I didn't really feel like any other relationship I had with anybody, like in my life. I talk, they nod. We'll put laughs underneath that. All right. So I'll address the elephant in the room because you've been staring at me long enough. I'm a Taurus. So yeah, I had a stroke when I was a kid. That's why I look like I'm about to walk over to your table and be like, We had the Chardonnay. You go to the Sauvignon Blanc? And, I hate telling that joke, honestly. I honestly just hate telling some jokes because I do them a lot, so you get sick of it, so you know it's funny. But, like, every time I get on stage, I feel like I need to, like, say it because I always hear somebody whisper to his friend, hey, yo, you think he knows he's about to land a falcon? Yeah. Well, enjoy it, please. Please, that's fun. I'm glad I got an applause break. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, things are going well for me. I'm having girls buy me drinks when I go out to bars now, which is pretty cool. That never happened. Yeah. Yeah, like one time I was here and I was like doing stand-up and I was at the bar and this girl comes up next to me and goes, I'll get a Tito's and soda and whatever Kyle Rittenhouse wants. Yeah, it's like a 180, 7.5 years ago, I was living in Los Angeles. I was kind of depressed. I couldn't get a job. That's a theme in my life. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't point to one person I could call a friend. It got so bad, I started chatting up barflies, which is kind of fun. Honestly, one dude was pretty helpful. His name was Andy. He was an accountant over at Warner Brothers. And I said to him in defeat one day, like, dude, what do I got to do to make friends in this town, bro? I even did that, the whole thing. It's like a SWAT, And without skipping a beat, the guy takes a shot of whiskey and goes, join AA. Yeah. That was fun. And, yeah. But, yeah, 180. I live with roommates now. I got 2 roommates. One dude, he's a veterinarian. He says to me the other day he hasn't had intercourse in like 6 years. And I believed him. Stop stepping on my laps, bro. I only got like 30 minutes to get through this like pussy joke. Jesus. Anyway, so I bet you guys will still laugh at this. Yeah, the guy said he hasn't had intercourse in like 6 years, and I believed him because he uses the words like intercourse. And I got this other roommate. He's like British. He's got a girlfriend. Good for him. But she's over at the apartment like a lot. She never leaves. At one point, I come home. I hear her in his bedroom. She's moaning, right? And usually I'm pretty supportive like that. I'm like, hell yeah, bro. Get some. And then he comes home from work that day. Yeah. And I'm in like this awkward position where I'm just like, all right, dude. Like, it's gonna be jerking off here. It's gonna be paying rent, bro. Yeah. Those guys moved out, and I got these other guys now, which doesn't really matter. But I didn't tell those guys I did stand up until like the last minute, like right before they left. I didn't think it was like important information for them to know, I figured they just would have picked up on it because, I'm funny. And what else? And what else could I be doing? Coming home late at night every single night. But when I told them, they were shocked, like absolutely flabbergasted. I said to them, what do you think I was doing coming home at 3 a.m. every night? They're like, we just assumed you were gay. Yeah, that's... So I was at synagogue the other day, I was smoking a cigarette with Rabbi Moish Stacks. And Moish asked me if I would speak as a Jewish guy on the anti-Semitic remarks made by, well, everybody at this point. But at the time, it was like Kanye, And I was honored, Imagine talking about the importance of Judaism at the height of anti-Semitism. The height of it, What a thrill. Especially since I'm not Jewish. Yeah. No, I'm Catholic. I've been Catholic my entire life. My entire family's Catholic. I had one cousin. His father is like Jewish, kinda. And and he married like another Jewish girl, Phoebe Shinfield. She's a diversity hire, That's fun. But now my family is Catholic. But yeah, it's whatever. But I also, my parents had me go to CCD, where you read the Old Testament and everything. And so they had me read the Old Testament and like had respect for all the Jewish figures in it, I mean, all the Jewish figures, The all-star Jews, I call them, Abraham, Moses, Spielberg. Great guys. Great guys indeed. Good guys. Yeah, the holidays are coming, that's great, You go to the holidays. I always had to go down to make pilgrimage. Fuck that word. I really don't like pilgrims. Go down to my parents' place, right? And we have this whole tradition of like watching classic movies. So like every year we would have a tradition of watching all the classic movies. And I mean like all the classics, you know? You know, It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street, Schindler's List. Yeah. It's great watching on New Year's Eve. It's great. It's great. But no, I do love Jewish people though. I honestly do. You ever see two Jewish people in public? It's fun. Seriously. Like, you guys are laughing, but this is true. Like, a Jew seeing another Jew in public is like somebody like finding water in the desert, you know? I'm serious. They're like always like, hey, is that Morty? Morty! Morty! Hey, Morty! Hey, how's your sunburn? Did you go to the dermatologist? Catholics don't do that. No, they don't. I've never seen two Catholics happy to see one another. Seriously, it doesn't exist. I feel like every time you see a Catholic, like they see each other in church, they're always just like, hi, Rob, good to see you. I'll talk to you later. Seriously. If a Catholic sees like a crucifix on the street somewhere, they're just like, nope. You know, like walk that way. But yeah, that was cool. Anyway, so I got parents. You guys still got those things? Woo, yay, parents, right? Are they both alive?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah. Well, no, I just say that because like I was asked that one time on a date. A girl asked me that. You still have parents? Where did they keep them? And I was like in my closet with my VCR. So I got two parents. My parents actually, I'm horrible at math, but like 1978, it's about like their 47th year anniversary of their wedding. Yeah. Yeah. Clap for that. Oh. Yeah. Which means next year they'll celebrate 25 of those years divorced. Yeah. So my parents got divorced. And when my parents divorced, my dad ended up moving out to Arizona. Which, when I tell people that, they kind of give me some sympathy, like the whole like my dad went to 7-Eleven to get scratchers and never came back thing. But in this case, it was just like my dad going like, "No, I'm not abandoning you, son. You know, I love you, kid, but you know, I was watching an episode of Bonanza the other day, and I really want to see a cactus." Yeah. No, it's true. I do like my dad. Like he's a funny guy. I got a lot from him. Like I remember when he gave me the sex talk. He took me to a church. Yeah, he took me to a church, and he was walking around the Stations of the Cross, you know, which was pretty cool. And he's like pointing to certain things, explaining the whole situation. It was very New York, by the way, you know. But and this happened, and that happened, and that happened. That's very Jewish. This happened, that. The thing with the whole. But no, he was pointing to a picture of Mother Mary. He's like, "That's Mary. She's a virgin, like you." Which, I swear to God, it took me like many years. Like I think only until a couple of months ago that I realized that was my dad's way of trolling me. Yeah, be like, "Hey, that's Mary. She's a virgin, like you. Get your dick game up." So yeah, my dad's pretty funny guy. I thought I got the chops to do this from him, you know, because of stuff like that. But really, it was my mom. That's true, actually. I remember when I was in like 6th grade, I had to give a speech in my English class about whether or not I wanted to be loved, feared, or respected. So I chose respected. All right? So literally the entire speech was just me complaining about what a bitch my mom was. So I had to like do this. Yeah, I said, oh, jeez. Oh, no. Complicated. So yeah, the entire speech was literally me just going, well, I'll tell you I'm all right now, but last week I was in rough shape, you know? The other day I was at a christening and a baby gave me the finger. I said to my mom, "Mom, this baby just gave me the finger." She goes, "She must know you." That's the story of my life. No respect. I get no respect at all. That guy laughs, but half of you guys, I feel like half of you guys are comics or Comic Knee fans. No, seriously, when I actually gave that speech, it was just a bunch of like 11-year-olds and they were just like staring at me. One girl was foaming at the mouth. It was funny. I think that's like a worser problem, like rabies, but you know, I don't really care at this point. They're like, half of them are like, have like OD'd. Anyway. Wow, that got dark. Wow. All right, where was I going with that? Yeah, my mom, I think like my entire childhood was literally just my mom telling me about stuff that she hates. Anybody experience that? Just her like monologuing for like 15 minutes? But she never hated like truly evil stuff like genocide, eugenics, or like the DMV. You know? My mom hated stuff like Billy Joel. Yeah. I had to listen to rants about Billy Joel for like 20 minutes. No, I was like, why, Mom? Do you not like his songs or something? And she's like, no, he's just so ugly. And he gets with like all these supermodels. I'm like, yeah, terrible. That's terrible, Mom. That's whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll wait for the laughter to die down. So my mom never wanted to see me do stand up, you know, and she didn't see me do it until like recently because she couldn't believe that I was actually funny. It just kind of hurt a little bit. But at one point I did a show out in Baltimore, right? Because she lives outside of Baltimore. And I said to my mom, come to this one because I'm headlining. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to pack the room out. I'll murder. It's going to be great. And she comes, and I do kill. It's a great time. They're like you guys, but I laughed even more. But they like the darker stuff. Afterwards, I'm out there. My mom comes up. Yay, my boy, Tom Luch Padella. And she hugs me and goes like, your zipper's down. That's my mom. I do like those two, by the way. I was talking to her today, you know. So yeah, I got two parents. I think they're a little bit worried about me, you know, because I'm like 32, still not settled down, don't have my act together. What I kind of do, honestly. I'm doing a comedy special and I created a TV show. So I can't really say that. But like, yeah, save the applause break for like a laugh, like a really good punchline. But being a little intrusive, it keeps signing me up for dating apps. Every day I wake up, I'm on a brand new dating app. I found out last week there's a new one on the street. It's called LinkedIn. You know, I don't know what my parents want. You know, I was like in love before that happens. You know, but you know, I even thought about getting engaged. But then the girl I was with, she cut off the whole thing. She did so through a handwritten letter. You know, because she's from ancient Rome. And literally it just said, Tommy, that's enough. Yeah, it wasn't even creative, you know? Tommy, that's enough. It wasn't even just like, Tommy, I love you, but I cannot be with you. My job with the disenfranchised children with bad stem cells has me going to Zamunda, and I can't do long distance, you know? Literally all I got was just, hey, let's just wrap it the fuck up, you know? But yeah, no, that's cool. But she did say that like being in a relationship with me was like being in a relationship with a child. And I think she was just referring to the fact that I'm still pretty emo. But no, she was just sick of having sex in my race car bed. Yeah, that's an experience, you know? You know, returning a bed to IKEA because your girlfriend says it's not fast enough. That's kind of bad. But yeah, so I'm not. I'm glad I did the love thing once, you know? You know, because now I can listen to famous love songs and kind of know what the guy's singing about in them. You know, like the one by Frankie Valli where he's like, working my way back to you, babe, with a burning love inside. And now that burning love is just gonorrhea. Yeah. Wow, they do the ohs. Wow, I didn't think that. I didn't think gonorrhea was like an oh. I thought like tuberculosis was like an oh. But I love how I'm spending my time just commenting on people laugh. That's how you have no material. You're just like, oh, I'll comment on what these people laugh. Anyway, but so yeah, I'm not married. I don't think I'm ever gonna get married. I can't really think of a reason to do it at this point, you know. But I love that this guy's like nodding here. And the sad part is he's like 27. He's still got his whole life ahead of him. I love it when like 27-year-olds act like they're like 90. You know, they're like, hell yeah, bro. Yeah. She took my house, my car. That's great. So all the married people I know, I'm friends with a lot of married people at this point, and they always like kind of like sell me on being in a relationship, and they always like try to sell me. Them doing things with their girlfriend is like, or wife is like, you know, just doing stuff that they can do alone, you know? The guy said to me, Tom, you gotta get married, bro. You know what me and my wife did? You wanna know what me and my wife did? I'm like, what, dude? What'd you do? I'm on pins and needles. He was like, we read a book together. I was like, oh yeah? How'd that work? How'd that work? You just, she read out loud and you were like, baby, what's that word mean? I like that joke. It's sarcastic, it's very mean. Men need women in their lives, you know? If they don't, they'll shoot up a school. Yeah. You know, I had actually a dry spell at one point. You guys go through that, right? Room of like 12 guys? Yeah. Yeah. It happens, you know. I was craving girly energy so bad that I started talking to my Alexa at one point. That's new, right? And then I stopped because I didn't like her tone. Very judgmental. Oh yeah, very judgmental. You know, but usually it's like about a song, you know? Her, I'd just be like, hey Alexa, call Derek. And she'd be like, really, Tommy? You gotta buy more Molly? That's great. Stuff like that. A lot of my friends are like complaining about everything, but particularly this subject. They keep complaining about the dating apps. They're upset that they can't like cold approach women in public anymore, just meet somebody, you know? I'm like, dude, you can. You just gotta do it in places where it's appropriate to approach women, you know? Like my last girlfriend, I met her at a newly single event. Her boyfriend's wake. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's... Yeah, I did actually like meet a girl on Tinder one time, and like that was cool. Like I was doing pretty well, conversation going. She was like, so, Tommy, I like you. I was like, this is great. All right, cool. She's like, I think we can build something together. I'm like, yeah, I think there's potential too. And then she tried to sell me crypto. Yeah. This other time I was out with somebody like 3 times, and on the 4th date she like canceled because it was too hot outside. I feel like that's a legitimate excuse, but like for considering hair, right? Yeah. Yeah, you do your hair. I don't want to do this. Yeah. Yeah, they don't want to go to hibachi restaurants either. I just did my hair. I can't do hibachi, you know. That's the thing. But I would have believed her if it wasn't November, you know. Cool, you still laugh at it. Nice. That's great. But let's go over here. Move this. I feel like I've been neglecting this. Side. Oh yeah. So I was like daydreaming with a girl comic like around the street the other day, and she was trying to set me up with somebody, and she said to me, "What's your type?" I said, "I don't know. Girls with like tan skin that kind of gets me like in heat." And she's like, "Oh, you mean like olive color skin?" And that's the moment you know that I'm an intelligent guy, but I'm not very bright. Because when she said olive color, I thought she meant like a black olive. Yeah, a black olive. It's not really, you know, tan. It's like black and blue, you know? You see a girl walking down the street and she's black and blue. I don't think, oh, she's tan. That's sexy. I just think, oh, her boyfriend's Italian. You know, I do get accused of being sexist a lot because of how I talk. You've heard me talk for like a half hour now. But that's not true. I'm pretty pro women, you know? I was in a feminism club in college. Wow. Yeah, because I was trying to bang the chick that ran it. That was fun. Yes, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But, you know, I get accused of like girls like telling me like I don't say I love you enough. I don't know. I didn't know we were dating. That's cool. Okay. But regardless, in the joke, it's like, yeah, I don't think any of them really earned it, you know? I mean, the girls I was out with, you know? So I compromised, you know? I tell her how love makes me feel. Isn't that cute? You know? Girl says, I love you, Tommy. I said, thanks, babe. You're exhausting. Yeah, no. But I like being older, you know? You know, it's like I feel like my insecurities melting away. I don't worry about the small stuff as much as I did, more about the big stuff. Because when I was a teenager, I was like insecure, you know, as half of you probably were, you know, happens. Like all I cared about was sex. When I was in my 20s, all I cared about was money and sex. Now in my 30s, I'm somewhere between money and like those cotton candy grapes. I got taste. All right. Yeah. Anyway, That was something, right? Yeah, I'm sweaty. Why does people do this down here? You know? It's a low ceiling, but it's really hot. Seriously, I'm like boiling. I feel like it'd be funnier if I wasn't like so hot. So yeah, cool. This is a special day, you know? You know why it was special? I had pancakes for lunch. That was like the highlight of my day. Yeah, no, pancakes. I had soup too. Yeah. Yeah. I had like breakfast and lunch at the same time. Anyway, that was cool. But cool. So this was pretty fun. So I've been doing stand-up for like 7.5 years because I was just trying to hone a voice while I wrote scripts, you know, and to get better at writing comedy because my senior film was pretty funny. So I remember like going to like stuff at like the Comedy Store, right? Like sitting in the back and watching comics do their thing, you know. And I remember watching this big fat guy, like a slob, like a Jabba the Hutt type, real fat piece of shit. I mean, he was funny, but like I can hear my mom saying he's so fat. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I was watching this guy make people laugh, and I was like, okay, I can do that. You know, now you're doing this. That's cool. All right, yeah, but you know, I feel like this entire time has just been me complaining about my life, you know, bad, which I feel is like what most comedy is, just making sense of things. But no, this has actually been pretty fun, you know, like, you know, I look back at my life, it's fun, you know. I mean, what problems did I have in life? Because I was left-handed, and after my stroke, I don't. Yeah. And after my stroke, I don't learn to jerk off with my right hand. Isn't that great? Okay, cool. Well, bye.
Give it up one more time for Tommy Smart, everybody. Tommy said he doesn't have daddy issues.